had some really good Guadalupe de la Cruz, Mount Sac, and a lot of really good people that kind of put me on to tag. And that was kind of the first time I ever was introduced into like, hey, you could be admitted into the UC because the UC is seen as like this thing that's like, you know, for the elite, the best, and to even have an opportunity for it to be like guaranteed, like to me that was crazy, you know, because I was just gonna go to like Cal Poly, right, because that's where it's at, like, you know, it was right across the street from Mount Sac, and I was like, hell yeah, like let me, you know, like if I can get guaranteed into, you know, another university outside of my community, or like that like where I could like really thrive and grow and build connections, like that would be dope. So I tagged UC Santa Barbara, and you know, and like it was actually really easy. Like it was an easy process. You know, like I really was excited just because I've been to UC Santa Barbara, because my best friend, my mentor, went there and he invited me, and I was excited for it. You know, just in case Berkeley or UCLA didn't come through. So you know, that was pretty much like my journey into that. But yeah, fam.
Really good. I'm not gonna ask Beto and Aurelia if they tag, because maybe it was before the time. Just kidding. They're young. They're young too. So definitely, you know, again, we wanted to present you with as many opportunities as possible. We always want you to keep an open mind to all the campuses, because you just never know. I mean, you know, I definitely know a few folks who gone to a number of other campuses that, you know, they're doing amazing things as well. So again, for us, it's not about that you need to and only can be committed to UCLA. I mean, of course, this is where we want you, but we also want you to have as many choices and as many opportunities as possible. And then, you know, that you're checking them all out, that you're actually ensuring that no matter what, you're gonna be at a place where you know that it's going to challenge you and push you to be your best. And I think that's, you know, as long as you're doing that, I think that's great. I mean, I think for us, it's all about the choices, because just there's too often for a lot of us, that's sometimes what we like, the choice, right? We don't have the choice of doing this or doing that, or the you know, just the privilege of doing all kinds of different things. So it is definitely about you having as many choices as possible. Okay. Let's see. What else do we want to do before this? Aurelia and Beto, did you introduce yourself? I'm sorry, I stepped up for a quick second, so I wasn't sure if you did.
No, you told us we were old.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But I'm older, so it doesn't matter.
That's true.
Don't tell Frank that, because you know how he is.
Aurelia, would like to go first?
Sure. We love Frank too, even though we always make fun of Frank. Hi, everyone. My name is Aurelia Reimer. I am the STEM program coordinator for CCCP. Just really quickly, a little bit of background about me. I was also in each and every one of your shoes. Many of the full-time staff members for CCCP has also been in your shoes. So I went to Santa Monica College and transferred to UCLA in 2016 as an anthropology BS major. And I was a peer advisor for the CCCP program, and now I'm back as full-time staff. I'm also pre-med, so I'm still pre-med, and I'm planning to apply to medical school next cycle. So if you have any questions regarding med school, or if you're STEM and you're interested in transferring, please let me know. Beto.
All right. Can y'all hear me? Thanks, Frank. So I was blanking out. My name is Alberto Moreno. Feel free to call me Beto for short. Like Aurelia mentioned, I'm also a proud product of CCCP. I participated in Classic Site and Site Plus 2013 and 2014. I transferred to UCLA from Long Beach City College in 2015, graduated in 2018. I'm currently at Loyola Marymount University pursuing my master's degree in guidance and counseling. So I just started my last year, my third and last year in the program last Monday. I am the program coordinator who oversees our partnership with Los Angeles Pierce College. So shout out to any Brahmas in the room. I myself didn't do tag. I guess I was too old during that. I was too young during that time, and I'm too old for that. But I'm here to learn about tag. It is an area that I do need improvement on in order to be able to assist and serve students like yourselves in the community colleges that we serve. And so I'm here to learn just as you. It will be a learning process for me as well. But just know that I'm also here as a resource for anything related to your transfer journey, from the UC application, person insight questions, or just the overall transfer experience. So welcome, and let's learn together today.
All right, that's very cool. Thank you. Yeah, I guess I think I want to learn too. Now, so as many of you know, I've been around, as Frank likes to remind me, I've been around for quite a while. I'm not as young as I used to be, but I guess what I don't have in youth, I definitely have in wisdom, supposedly, allegedly. I don't know. You'll tell me once we're done with this presentation, I guess. But you know what? It's really wonderful to have you here. You know, I didn't know how many people were going to show up. I was like, hey, if 10, 15 people come, I think that I'll be happy, and there's close to 100 people here. I mean, that's just pretty amazing. So look around the room, why don't you just start posting which schools you're from? So, just so we know who's in the room, and just so we can continue to make community, that's really important. We don't,
Exactly, really quickly,
yeah.
Johan is here as well.
Oh, great.
Could
Excellent.
we, let him introduce himself?
Yeah, please.
Go ahead, Johan.
Hey everyone, nice to see this many faces at this webinar. I didn't expect such a big turnout, but I think we're all excited to talk to you about tag. So I'm also a peer advisor at CCCP. I started this summer. I'm a second-year transfer at UCLA, and I'm majoring in human biology and society and minoring in brain and behavioral health. And I'm also pre-med, similar to Aurelia. And we're currently working on figuring out how to best serve the STEM community in this upcoming year. And as far as my experience with tag, really quick, kind of like Alejandro mentioned and some of the other peer advisors, it's a great safety net. And the good thing about it is that although it's hidden and some people don't know about it, once you figure it out, it's really a straightforward process. It's kind of convenient how it's directly integrated into your transfer planner. So you don't have to worry about, moving your coursework around. It's all on the same platform. So you can pretty clearly see which campuses are a best fit for you, which prerequisites are going to be the easiest for you to line up. And then just a tip that I have is, if possible, if you have a school that you're striving for and then you have a school that you want as a safety net, what I did is I tried to figure out the school that best matched UCLA in my case, so I could overlap those classes together, so save myself some work. So I recommend that in the TAP process and the tag process. So thank you.
Santi.
Oh yeah, I was muted as usual.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm old. Proves it. You proved that. All right, hold on a sec.
Also, in the meantime, I'm getting a lot of DMs from people. I can keep up, so I'm just gonna put my email in the main chat. So please take note of it, and yeah, email me if you have any questions.
Hold on just a second. I don't know what happened to the presentation got stuck. Hold on. I have to restart it. Hold on, just give me a second. There it goes. Okay. Let's try this again. Okay, hold on. Okay, you able to see the presentation?
Yes.
Oh yeah, there I am. See? I'm inside the presentation. The presentation is not inside of my head, but I'm inside the presentation, so you know, it's gonna be a lot of fun. The meeting is being, okay, got it. I've been doing, you know, the other thing that I do, I mean, you know, I'm a true immigrant. I cannot just have one job. So, you know, I actually have a little part-time job at Pasadena City College. Every Wednesday, I actually do some hours at the transfer center. I'm a transfer advisor at Pasadena City College. Any Lancers in the room? Just know that I'm there pretty much every Wednesday, and I'm doing, you know, just advising, and also and I'm also in charge of doing the tag work for PCC. So I know tag definitely for sure. I know it inside out. So I'm happy to be able to share what I know about this. So in the next slide, there's going to be a little QR code, and we're going to drop also the link to a document, a Google Doc document that I created, and it's the first time I'm trying it out just to see how it works. And basically, the idea is that as the presentation is going along, you can pull that up and kind of see if you have met the requirements, kind of a self-assessment. It is not an official document. It's just a document kind of to guide yourself to see where are the areas in which you are very sure that you are, you know, completely done with the requirements, and where there may be areas where potentially you may have to talk to a counselor, you may have to talk to someone to find out if you know, you actually have met all the requirements. And we highly encourage you to do that to ensure that you are that if you're going to utilize tag, that you know that you're actually meeting the requirements. Okay. Let's see. There we go. Oh, so that's the QR code. This QR code. Well, no, this side. Yeah. I forgot that it has to be in the opposite side of its mirror. So yeah. So this QR code is definitely the one that you'll want to scan, and we'll also put the link onto the what you call it, the chat. Oh, I took it home. Okay, share the link. Yeah. So this is a Google Doc I created. So if you can just make sure that you are, before you start filling it out, you know, clicking on it, that if you can make a copy of it, so that you know that'll be your copy. You can, you know, just use it. Again, it's a reference. It's not an actual official document. So just I know it's something like just to ensure that you have all the information, that you know that you and that when you go talk to someone, like if you're going to go talk to one of the counselors or a UC rep from any of these 6 campuses, that you have a point of reference where you can say, you know, I wasn't sure about this one part of it. You know, so that's really the whole idea about that checklist. Okay. All right. So let's get going. So as many of you already know, there are 6 campuses that offer tag, and you know, the easiest way for me to say is who doesn't have tag. So of course, Berkeley, LA, and San Diego are the 3 campuses that don't offer tag. And really the whole idea behind tag. I mean, I was I was there when the idea was first proposed. And we were in the conversations along with Alfred about the guarantee, and the guarantee was really to try to provide path for students like yourselves, students who were from all kinds of different backgrounds that and again that oftentimes we don't have the opportunities to get this. I mean, like, guarantees are becoming more or less and less available at this point. So definitely is something that for sure, when we thought about it as something that can benefit you, and not in that we didn't want to create something that was going to add more onto your plate. So I think a couple of the folks who talk about completing the tag really talk about just how it was built into everything else that they were doing as well. But there are very specific requirements. So we want to make sure that you know those, that you know exactly what type of requirements you need to meet and when you need to meet them and all of that, okay? So let's move on. All right. Most of the information that I gather for this webinars every year comes from this document that the 6 UC campuses put together. We call it the tag matrix, right? And it basically has it's basically a table with all the information that I'm about to share. And really kind of what I've done is just put it in a way that is less like, the document is more of a reference. So if you know what you're looking for, you know where to find exactly that information. But I think for students, you're not necessarily going to know where to look for it. So the way that I have designed this is really more centered towards you being able to compare the different campuses and you being able to tell, okay, I have met the requirements for this one campus, but maybe I haven't met the ones for this other campus, and that you can, again, self-assess and decide if that's something, that you may need to talk to someone to find out if for sure you have met their requirements or not. So that's really the intent for me in terms of providing this webinar, is to be able to point you into feeling well about what you need to do in the tag. And that if you're not certain, that you talk to someone, and that you do it as soon as possible. And the reason why for the tag we encourage you to do it early on is because for 2 of the schools, this is Merced and Irvine. I'll have to double check on that. But 2 schools allow us to read your tag before passing them on to the campus, right? So we have until October 15 to review tags. So at this point, that's what part of what the work I'm doing at Pasadena City College is reviewing tags. What's good about that is that if we catch a mistake, let's say that you forgot to include a course, let's say that you didn't know there's this one course that you were required to do, we have the opportunity to reach out to you and to let you know, hey, you don't have this requirement. I didn't see it in the courses maybe that you were planning for the spring, but if you add it into your spring, coursework, you will definitely get the guarantee. And in that sense, it really is a great tool for us. I mean, I think many times, I have got just little mistakes that will not, that will not allow you to do the guarantee. And then sometimes even wouldn't let you get into any of the other schools because it's a requirement, that was maybe across all the campuses. And we're able to check, but we're only able to check because we have a deadline of October 15, of course. So if you have submitted if you submit your app later on, we probably won't get to it, and in enough time to be able to allow you to fix it, because until September 30th, we can send you back the tag, and you can make changes, you can make adjustments to it. So so if you're able to submit your tag the sooner the better. Definitely, that's something that we would encourage you to do. It's not the same thing that we encourage necessarily with the application, but with tag, it does make a difference, because if the counselor at your campus is able to catch something, that's kind of what we do. We will just, reach out to you and say, if you take care of this, you have the guarantee. So again, definitely do it as early as possible. And that's why we wanted to do this kind of early in September, so to make sure that, that you had all that information as well. Let me get, sorry, all right. Oh, look who's sitting right next to me. All right then. I find it because actually Miguel is from Pasadena City College. So right before the pandemic, he used to come by and see me at the transfer center. But anyways, what is tag? Okay, so let me move myself out of the way so you can actually read. There we go. Let me just turn on the camera for a moment. There we go. Okay, excellent. So tag, again, is specifically made so that students will have an opportunity to attend one of the non-UC campuses. It guarantees admission. So as long as you do what the requirements are asking you to do, you will get the guarantee. It's going to be 100% guaranteed as long as you do what you're being asked to do. And just because you submit, the application is not binding to you. So if you get into another school and you decide that you want to go to that school, that's perfectly fine. Again, the whole idea behind tag was that we wanted to give students that peace of mind that, at the very least, you knew that you were going to be guaranteed one of the UC campuses. And in order, you don't have to do tag in order to get into a school. As a matter of fact, most students who get into the UCs, including the 6 campuses, they get into the regular process, not through tag. But again, tag will give you that guarantee so that you know for sure you have that option for you, okay? All right, so who can file a UC tag? So a tag is reserved only for California community college students. So you do have to be transferring from a California community college. So this is not open to students who are, maybe at another UC or at a Cal State. That is not open for those students. And it is open to any student at a California community college, whether that's an international student, an undocumented student. Any student who's enrolled at a California community college has access to tag. Now, we do have a very specific definition about what makes a community college, right? So who is considered a California community college? In order for us to define you as a California community college, you will have to have completed at the very least 30 units at a California community college. And the last college that you attend right before you transfer has to be a California community college. So for example, if you had applied, let's say for, I don't know, one of the Cal States that's open in the spring, and you applied to the tag right now, right? And you did the tag, and then you got in, let's say, to Cal Poly Pomona in the spring, right? And you decided to go to to Pomona. Even if we had offered you the guarantee at that point, it wouldn't be valid anymore, because your last school prior to transferring to that UC campus now is not a community college. Now you are going to be defined as a 4-year transfer. So this program again has been designed specifically for community college students. And again, someone who's already at a 4-year school can potentially get their baccalaureate degree from that institution. Someone who's at a community college cannot. So again, we're giving the priority to the community college students. So just keep that in mind, just in case, again, there's all kinds of different situations. So we just want to make you aware of all of the different ones. And, talking about all, that's a definitely all picture up there when we're much younger. Let's see. Okay, very good. So who's eligible? Who's not eligible for TAG? Okay, so someone who already has a baccalaureate degree, has a graduate or a professional degree, whether that's a degree from the U.S. or outside of the U.S., is not eligible for TAG. Someone who previously was enrolled at a UC campus and wants to do TAG with that same campus to go back, they're not able to do that as well. And honestly, because those students, let's say that someone went to Riverside and then for whatever reasons ended up, needing to come back home, or whatever the reason may be, and now wants to do TAG to go back to Riverside. Actually, the UCs have protocols to help students who were former students at those campuses to come back to the school. And actually, it would be much easier if you go to the Razor's office, if that's what you're trying to do, to go back to the same campus that you were at one point, one of the UC campuses that you were at one point. And then lastly, the other group of students who's not eligible are students who are high school students still, meaning that they haven't graduated from college. They may be taking community college courses, and we do know there's a number of high school students who are taking community college courses. They may even have completed all the requirements to transfer, but they're not eligible to the TAG because in our definition, it will have to be somebody who's already has graduated from high school in order to be able to take advantage of the TAG. Right. And you're more than welcome to list any questions you have in the chat. I might not catch them, so I'm gonna ask some of the folks who are here, they're helping us to kind of catch those. And if it's a question that you don't necessarily feel comfortable asking, at the end of the webinar, I'll put my email as well, so that and I'll make some time next week as well to have some just like some drop-in hours, so that if there's questions you want to ask me, then we can also do that as well. Okay. Cool.
So there's a question in the chat. I think it's applicable to the slide. From Amber Rivera, I have a question. Can you use UC TAG for a campus that is not listed under your application?
Okay, so what was it? Read the question again, please.
Can you use UC TAG for a campus that is not listed under your application? I presume the UC application.
Right. So no, so the TAG is only good for the 6 campuses that I mentioned at the very beginning. So it would be Irvine, Merced, Davis, Santa Barbara, Santa Cruz, and Riverside. Those are the 6 campuses that the TAG is good for. Now, there are some universities that that we look at TAG in their selection process and may use that as a factor in terms of admitting students. So particularly some private schools, and I know for certain also in the past, ASU, Arizona State University, has used TAG in order to make decisions about the students that they take. So, but it's not a guarantee necessarily. Now, there may be some campuses that also have guarantees, okay, that are not necessarily within the UC system, but that's a whole separate process that they do. Is entirely a guarantee that they have, between that university and the community college that you may be attending. So, so there are some guarantees besides the ones for the UCs. There are a number of other guarantees, both within and outside of the state. But the information that I'm providing today will have nothing to do with that. I mean, may have something to do with it, but it's not exactly directly for those schools. Okay, so if you do, you know, you may have been told about a program that may have, you know, a guarantee, but you'll want to make sure that you are getting that information, you know, specifically from that campus. I hope I answered your question. All right. So we talk about who's not eligible. Let's move on. All right, some factors to consider when you are, you know, trying to make a decision whether, you know, which campus you should be doing your tag with, right? So of course, your preference, right? So you want to do a tag to one of the 6 schools that's high on your list of schools that you want, you know, you will want to go to, right? So it should be a campus not only a course that, you know, that you think will meet those academic goals, but, you know, that was going to also have the environment that, you know, you are going to do best in as well. Okay, so those are the things that you kind of want to think about. Of course, your major, right? I mean, you know, if you're interested in business administration as a major, and you're only applying to schools that have econ programs, then, you know, I mean, just keep in mind that you know, economic programs are not the same thing as business administration programs. They're in fact, they're in places like UCLA, they're completely, you know, not completely different, but they're definitely not necessarily as similar as they may sound. The other thing I want to say about that, oh yeah, so you also want to keep in mind that depending on which major you are interested in getting into, that major may not have a tag with, you know, the campus may, even though the campus may offer tag, not all the majors participate in tag. Okay, so also keep that in mind. And we'll talk about which majors do not participate in a moment, okay? And then lastly, of course, do you meet the requirements, right? So because it makes no sense that you're gonna tag with a school that you know you're not gonna meet the requirements. So I think this is a good moment for me to talk about the way that tags are evaluated, okay? So the regular applications, you know, the ones you're gonna submit in November, those applications you are gonna get, you know, they're gonna be reviewed. There are going to be usually multiple people reviewing those applications. There's actually a lot of an evaluation and, you know, just a judgment that is being made in that application. That's not necessarily, you know, a black and white type of decision. This one is. So the tag is very specific about what you need to meet. And if you don't meet it, then you don't get the guarantee. So so you either, whatever requirement is being asked of you, it will have to be, you know, it will have to have been met in order for you to get the guarantee. Okay. All right. Okay. So good. All right. So let's talk about those majors that do not participate in tag from the 6 campuses. So Davis, at UC Davis, there's any undeclared programs, they don't accept the tag. The landscape architecture does participate in tag in a pre-major status. So your question should be, well, what is a pre-major status, right? And that would be a really good question to ask. Pre-major status means that you will be admitted to the campus, you will be admitted in a pre-major status, and there may be 1 or 2 or more courses that are not offered at the community college that you will need to complete at that campus in order to be officially in that major, right? So Davis will say, we cannot guarantee admissions into the major because we don't know if you, once you get here, you know, you're going to be able to either take those courses, you know, place where they you need to be placed. We can only guarantee you admissions for this, the landscape architecture, as a pre-major status, right? Now, of course, once you get there and, you know, you take care of them, then you'll be in the major, but they cannot make that guarantee because they don't know necessarily, you know, what's going to happen, you know, after you are admitted, right? And then there's one more major that was added this year, which is the computer science in the College of Arts and Science. That major no longer accepts tags as well, okay? So again, you want to kind of just, as you're hearing this information, you want to make sure that if that's the major you are pursuing and you were thinking of doing Davis, then, you know, and you hear that the major is not participating, then the decision that you need to make is what's more important for you, to be in the major that you want and that that you have been pursuing, or to be in on the campus that you really want. I mean, so, you know, that's a very much a personal question in terms of like what's more important to you. So we wouldn't be able to answer that question. So, but, you know, think about that part, because again, there are ways to get to your goals, either by going through a different major or by going to a different school. Either one of those can be a variable. So, you know, again, think about those. Okay. I keep on getting on my own way. All right, Merced. Merced, there's only two majors that do not participate in TAG, and that's Global Arts and Public Health. And as you are going to start seeing, I think in the previous slide, this is the first slide where I have the campuses. The QR codes here are directly to the pages where they talk about TAG and where they, you know, all this information that I'm sharing with you. That's where I gather all that information from. So, you know, just if you want to double check, which I highly encourage you to double check. Throughout the next slides, I'm going to be sharing with you the specific website that talks about, you know, like which majors participate in that, which majors are selective, and so on and so forth. So you're more than welcome to keep that in. We'll probably place them also on our scholars website as well, so that you can have access to that. And for those of you in CCCP, if there's a question you think that you see in the chat, because I'm not able to see it, please let me know, okay?
Yeah, Santi, really quickly. So there's a question in the chat. Let me just find it. Give me a sec. Okay, so the student, I think it's Melanie. What do we do if we finish all of our classes to transfer for the fall semester, but the TAG program requires us to be enrolled the semester prior to transfer? Do that person, whoever, still need to take extra classes in the spring?
Right. Yeah. So for that will be the situation. Let's say, for example, Davis and Merced are the two campuses that, in their requirements for the guarantee, they ask that you be full-time. You will need to have been full-time beginning with spring of 21, the spring that just passed, all the way to spring 22. So that's part of their requirements. They do both allow you to, in the comment section, to explain why you're not going to be enrolled full-time at a school in the spring. If that's the case, then, you know, they'll review it based on the information you provide afterwards, right? Let's see what else. What's I was to say about that? Something else. So yeah, no, I think I was gonna say something else, and my mind went blank. It's Alfred's fault. I mean, it's Frank's fault. Frank is just reminding me how old I am. You just don't see it in the private chat. All right. Okay, so let's see. Hopefully I answered that. Okay, so Riverside. Okay, Look myself out of there for a quick moment. I'm gonna go play Loteria with these ladies right here, okay? Cool. So for Riverside, Art Studio and I think that's the only one that's, yes, it's Art Studio, the only one that is there, they don't accept tag with. There are two campuses that are open in the middle of the year and that accept tag. That will be Riverside and Merced. Okay, so Riverside is open for the winter quarter and Merced is open for the spring semester, okay? And both of them would require the tag application in May of the previous year. So the next available term for both of these campuses in the middle of the year after fall 22 will be the winter of 23 for Riverside and spring semester 23 for Merced. Okay, so just in case you are in the situation where you need to transfer in the middle of the year. Let's see. All right, so for Santa Barbara, anything under performing arts for the College of Letters and Science and anything from the College of Engineering or Creativity, those majors are not open. So for sure, Santa Barbara, for those of you who are engineers, they don't have any engineering major opens under tag, okay? And so Santa Cruz was a surprise this year because ever since I've been, and I was there at the beginning of tag, so they had never had any major that was excluded until this fall. This is the first time, so I guess well, makes it computers programs are usually very popular in terms of applicants. Okay. All right. So again, if any of these majors that we mentioned in here are the major that you were interested in, that again, you will need to need to think about and make a decision about what your next move is going to be. Yeah, so and of course, if you I had encouraged you to, if that's the case, that you talk with an advisor, you talk with a rep from the school so that they can also give you maybe some other options that may be not necessarily in the major that you were thinking of. All right. Okay. Hey, this is my PCC fam. And yeah, so this is the folks from the Transfer Center and the Outreach Center at Pasadena City College. And this slide is talking about units. Okay, so and again, this is where that case about it's a very black and white issue for you to get a guarantee. So it will require that you have 30 units completed by the end of the summer. So by the time you actually submit the tag in September, the schools, the campuses need to see that you already have 30 units under your belt, okay? You may have 29.9, that means you don't get the tag, okay? So it's either you have what it's asking you, so the 30 units by the end of the summer, or the 30 units by the end of the spring. So those are the two minimum, number of units that is asking you to complete. If you're missing even, half a unit, then you don't get the guarantee, okay? And that doesn't mean, and this is also really important. So if you don't get the tag, you shouldn't automatically assume that you're not going to be admitted to the regular process, because that may be very much the case. Because again, in tag, they're not reviewing a whole bunch of things, right? So they're reviewing only that information you included in the planner, and maybe some, again, for Davis and Merced, they might read the comments on why you're not going full-time. But pretty much everything else is going to be a real clear-cut issue for the person who's reviewing that, because the requirements, they're not going to move away from those requirements. In the regular process, we are able to look at other factors, including your personal responses as well. So there is an opportunity, very much so, that if you don't get admitted to tag, you may be admitted to the regular process. Okay. All right. So then there's this one other policy, and it confuses a lot of people. And I'm always having to answer in all kinds of different ways this question, just because it can be very confusing. So it is the maximum number of units that you can transfer with. Okay. So I'd say the first part, because I think that eases most people's reaction to it. If you let's see what I was going to say. If you, oh my goodness, I totally lost my train of thought. Sorry. If you are, if you only have attended a California community, there we go. If you have only attended a California community college, if you have never gone anywhere else but a California community college, you're never going to have to worry about maximum number of units. Okay, so let me just say that again. If the only institution that you have attended to get college credit is a community college, that 80, 90 number that you see on your screen, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, that only can be reached, that number can only be reached if you have units from an institution that is able to award you what we call upper division credit. Those are usually the courses that juniors and seniors are taking at an institution, right? So if you maybe start your college career at a Cal State, for example, or a UC, or if you, in the summers, you went into courses at an institution and you obtain units, then at that point, there may be a possibility that you may be reaching that maximum that you see there, that 80 to 90. And it's 80 to 90 because it is not, and this is one of the few instances in which the UCs are not doing exactly the same thing. Each UC campus makes a decision about what maximum means for them. So some campuses may say 80, some other campuses say 90, like UCLA says 90 units. But it is very much based by campuses, okay? And what happens is that if you have attended upper division, you have attended an institution where you took upper division courses in the university's mind, then you are at that point a senior. You're no longer anymore a junior transfer applicant. It will be a senior transfer applicant, which means that, you're very close to graduating, and most universities want you to do the majority of the bulk. In order for them to award the degree and confer the degree to you, they want to see that you're doing that work at that institution. So yeah, so that's what that's about. I know it can be confusing because, you may be looking at particularly, and this is definitely the case for STEM students. Your majors are what we call high unit majors. And you may be like seeing this information everywhere. It says if you reach 80 units, you will no longer qualify to transfer. Again, that's only if you're obtaining upper division credit as well. That's the only time that that you would be in danger of reaching that maximum.
Is there any way I can add on something to that, like a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned that like certain schools have different requirements for units. I myself used to go to a UC, but I changed my major, and now I'm planning to tag to UCI, and their unit limit is 134 quarter units, which is 90 semester, I believe.
Yeah.
And I saw somewhere that 30 community college semester units is like the requirement to tag, and
Right.
I will
Yes.
have 28. And if I go to 30, I will exceed that 134
Right.
like unit
Yes.
limit. So what
Yes.
options do I have there?
So what I would suggest then is that so you're not going back to the same school that you were at, right?
No, I'm going to a new school.
So you're to transfer. Okay. So by reaching the maximum number of units, you're putting yourself at a very close to being disqualified for transferring. So it makes more sense that you don't do the tag, because the tag will require you to do those units, and that you go to the regular process and stay under those units that they're, that they have set up as the maximum. The one other thing I would say, I guess, and of course I would need to get a little bit more information from you about, just specific, your specifics, but oftentimes was the easiest way for a student who has, been at one of the UC campuses and, left for whatever reasons, and then needs to come back to complete the degree, whether that's at the same school or a different school. Usually, and it's not always the case, but usually that what we call your host school, which is the school that you went to originally, will have more options for you to come back. Okay, usually, not always, but usually, because the UCs are trying to ensure that whichever student came into that campus, that they're going to see them get to the whole campus all the way to graduation. Okay, now it's not always the case, but usually that's kind of like just the guiding policies for the UCs. So in terms of putting yourself at risk by having too many units, I would probably say that then doing tag instead of helping you, might jeopardize your opportunities.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, because I was a little confused.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're kind of caught in that middle ground where you have units from the previous school, but you're not quite there, and yes, so you just need to be very mindful about the number of units you're adding, because again, the schools are very pretty much set on those standards.
So that is still a requirement, right? The 30 like community college semester units, because when I made the checklist, I didn't see that for some reason.
Yeah, so for you, because you were a UC student before, that rule doesn't apply. So the fact that you were a UC student before gives you a little bit of a leeway in terms of like that 30 unit, in the definition of California Community College of 30 units.
Oh, because that's the only requirement I don't have. I have every single other thing besides the 30 units. I only have 28. So,
right. So like, I would say don't worry about the tag, because if you do, yeah. And what I would suggest to you is that you, which campus are you trying to get to transfer? To
UTI.
Okay. Send me an email and I'll connect you with someone at Irvine that can walk you through that process, because I want to make sure that you're really in that walking a very narrow pathway right now, and I want to make sure that that you have all the right information. I'm gonna put my email so I can connect you with someone at Irvine. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll email you. Yeah, sorry for taking up some time.
Okay, so moving on. So units, that's what the story is there. Let's that. Okay, so so then there's just one little rule again that for Santa Barbara, they only take 2.67 quarter units, 16 quarter units, 2.67 semester units of AP, IB, or A levels. And usually people ask me, well, what are those things? Then I'll tell them, don't worry about it. Then you didn't take them, so you're good. But if you're counting more than those units towards the completion of the tag, towards the 30 units, Santa Barbara is the only campus that has that caveat that they won't count more than those units towards the 30 or 60 units for tag. Okay. All right, let me see. All right.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, it was in regards to the slide that you just passed.
Okay, I can go back.
Okay, so you said that the the UCs accept a maximum of 80 to 90 units, but if you go to a community college, that's waived?
Yeah, because the way so at a community college, there are no upper division courses. Everything that you're taking at a community college is considered lower division. So that's where you wouldn't, you wouldn't accumulate units towards becoming a senior. So you can have 1,000 units at a community college, and you won't, you wouldn't be in danger of that policy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, so here's the GPA ranges. I mean, the GPA requirements for all the schools. So the GPA in some schools is the one that they're going to use for any major, and then in some other schools, they're going to have specific GPAs for different schools or colleges within that university, or for specific majors, right? So as you can see from here, Davis, has a 3.2 GPA requirement for the College of Agriculture, Environmental Sciences, Biological Sciences, and Letters and Science, except for Computer Science within the College of Letters and Science, which again, this is they'll ask for a higher GPA. Okay, so not only do you have to pay attention to what the campus is asking you to do, but the major within that campus may be asking you to do additional things in order to qualify for the tag. Okay, so so you want to also look at this information as well. And you can see the GPAs here. The lowest GPA of any guarantees is a 3.35, and the highest one, you see that's a 3.6. So make sure you are looking at this. One of the things in here that I just kind of want to make sure that you do understand is that most universities, most of the UCs are organized in a way in which they have colleges within the college, right? So for example, here at UCLA, we have College of Letters and Science, we have School of Engineering, we have, we have one college and 7 what we call specialty schools, right? Just because you don't see the major here explicitly saying, let's say, I don't know, English, you don't see it here, but it may be hidden within one of these colleges. So I just want to make sure that you know that too. Okay, it's just, if there's a campus that you're applying to, let's say that you're applying to Riverside, right? And you see here the majors, but you don't necessarily see the major that you're applying to. Just make sure you look and go to that webpage, look under the college, find out where your major is located at. Again, because where they're giving you here, or where the information they're given is for the whole college. And even though you may not, you may not see the major here, that major may well be under that college. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay. All right. Let's see what else. Okay, I think the lowest GPA for a guarantee is at 2.7. So and again, 3.6 is the highest. So this kind of like just, it's kind of the same information that is in that other table, but in a more visual way. So you can see that Davis ranges from 3.2 to a 3.5. Irvine is pretty much 3.4 for all majors. Merced goes from a 2.8 to a 3.0. And Riverside has really the widest range. I mean, they go all the way from 2.7 to 3.8. And it really depends on the major that you're applying to. And I was just telling some of the stuff earlier that actually at some point, Riverside was the school that I wanted to go to at some point. So they have great, they have amazing services for students as well. Santa Cruz is pretty much at a 3.0, and then Santa Barbara is at a 3.4. So some schools have a lot of range in terms of the GPAs, and then some other schools are pretty fixed at that, at a certain GPA. Okay. All right, let's see how we doing with time. Okay, we're doing okay. All right. So the other thing you need to be paying attention to is when you're completing the requirements. So some requirements need to be done specifically by a certain time. So let's start first with the English composition course. 2 campuses. Well, one campus explicitly says, and as you see, all right, that they want that the first English composition course that's required. They want it done by the end of the summer. So at this point, if you don't have that first English composition course out of the way for Irvine, then you have not made the requirement, okay? Davis, the way they say it is, we want the first and second English courses, the English composition and the critical thinking courses, completed by the fall. Now, so I put it in the summer because, obviously, if you're gonna take the if you need to take the second course by the fall, unless you're gonna test out of it, you're gonna need that first course before that, right? So I just put it there. So but I do mention that again, they're not asking for that first course to be done in the summer, by the summer, but the fact that they're asking for those 2 courses to be completed by this fall usually means that you should have already taken that other course. Okay. Let's see, and then the rest of the schools, they all ask you to complete that English comp by the end of the fall. So if you leave that to a later date, then to like the winter, if you have a winter intersession, or the spring, then you wouldn't qualify for the tag. All right. So the critical thinking course, Davis is the only one that requires for that to be done in the spring. And then again, that's the only, that's the only campus. The rest of them will ask you to do it by the end of the spring of 22. Did I just confuse myself? Did I say spring? Okay, so let me repeat that. Davis, fall 21, and then the rest of the campuses by spring 2022. All right. All right. All right, math. Irvine is gonna want you to have that one transferable math completed by the end of the summer, okay? So if you don't have that one transferable math completed already, Irvine wouldn't be one of those campuses you could apply to for tag because you wouldn't have met that requirement. The rest of the campuses want you to have that transferable math by the end of the fall. And my colleague actually asked me this question the other, clarification the other day, which is about the policy that Riverside has, in addition to this one that I just mentioned. So in addition to the one transferable math that you need to have for any of these campuses, Riverside also asks that you have, let's see, so Riverside's gonna ask you to also have the math for the majors that are selective and that have a higher requirement than just that one math, and that needs to be completed also by the end of the fall. So if you go to assist.org, well, first of all, what I would say is you will want to go to the Riverside webpage where they talk about the requirements for this major. And then secondly, you want to make sure that you're scheduling those courses to be done by the end of this fall. Okay. And I know it can be confusing because again, and if you're not certain, or if you you're not sure what, what I just said, then you definitely want to ask, but I'll give you an example. Okay. So business administration, right? So business administration students are often required to have two semesters of calculus, right? On assist or in the website for Riverside, they may be saying, so even though that requirement technically is not necessarily needed at this point, they're going to be reviewing, they're gonna want to see at the very least whatever is listed on assist to be done by the end of the fall, right? So those two, the business administration students who need those two calculus courses, even though they may have taken a statistics course to meet that one transferable math that we're seeing right here, may also be required to have one transferable course done by this. That's what it requires on assist. It says you need to have at the very least one calculus course completed also by the end of the fall. Then that's something else you need to think about in addition to this one transferable math. Okay. And Riverside is the only one that is that asks for that. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so if our major, I think you may have already answered this, but if our major requires statistics and we plan to take that in the winter or the spring, does that mean that we can't do tag?
If on assist it says that needs to be completed by the end of the fall, then yes, then you wouldn't be able to do the tag with that specific campus.
Oh, you could still apply, but as far as tag goes, you have to check assist to see when that that math needs to be done.
Right. And that's only for, oh well, sorry, I want to make sure that I'm hearing you correctly. So you're saying statistics for the one transferable math or statistics as a requirement for the major?
For both, because yeah, because
okay.
I don't have a transferable math.
But
I thought that if I because I tested out of it, out of the transferable math. And so I tested into the math that I have to take, and I was planning on taking that either in the winter or the spring. So how would that work?
And this is for Riverside and one of the majors that is selected.
No, this is for UC San Diego or I mean, yeah, Riverside too. I might tag Riverside, but I'm not sure who I'm going to tag right now.
Right. So if this is a selected major at Riverside,
okay,
that requires well, actually no, so it doesn't matter because you're saying that this is you haven't met the math requirement yet, right? At all.
I haven't met it yet, but
I
tested out of the lower maths, and I basically met the requirement to get into a math class that I need.
Got it. Okay. So what I would say, because I don't know what you actually tested into, like what was your the equivalency, and I'm not sure if you know that information, but
oh, I tested into pre-calc.
Okay, so that may mean you trig. So what I would suggest, and what campus were you thinking of? What I would suggest, you want to double check with the advisor at that specific campus to see if they will take, instead of the one transfer of math, the equivalency of your testing. I'm not really quite sure what they will say, because again, well, I have a inkling in that they'll say, well, that means you haven't met the requirement. And and that you can still apply to the regular process, and that you know, you will review in that review. We don't require that you have that completed by the end of the fall. You know, they'll review everything else. So I kind of think that's what they're going to answer, but double check. That's what I would suggest for you. Just double check.
So check assist and then talk to the advisor.
Yes,
that
talk to that specific advisor about the fact that you are that you had tested out and that you placed at a little higher than the one transferable math. Because yeah, so that, you know, since the community colleges stopped using remedial courses, that may change things a little bit in your situation. So I don't want to give you like the wrong answer. So in this one, I definitely will have to say that talking with someone specifically from that campus can definitely give you a better response on that one.
So the advisor for TAG?
The advisor for TAG, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you have a hard time getting in touch with them, I know that both Alfred and I know the person, so you know, just reach out to us and we can connect you with them.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Monty, really quickly. So I think there's some confusion about the transferable math and English in the chat. So I know that some people are saying like, if I take English 101, I should be fine. We should stress that all the English and math courses are labeled differently at the different colleges. So you need to make sure that whatever your math 101 is a transferable college course. So I think for math, the lowest transferable college course is pre-calculus, I believe, or statistics, depending on what route in the math sequence you're going into. And then for English, it's like whatever English composition classes, college. So you need to make sure that you're meeting the minimum, at least the minimum college level course for both math and English.
And one place where you can check that is on Assist. So let me actually show you that so that you know what I'm talking about. So on Assist, we have an area where you can check to see if you know, which one is the first English comp, which is the first I mean, which one is the critical thinking and which one is the math. So let me get to that page. Okay. Here it goes. Okay, let me stop sharing this. I'm gonna share my. Are you able to see the assist page?
Yes.
Okay, great. So right here, this tells you transferable courses. See where it says UC transfer admission eligibility courses. This one right here is the one that would tell you, you know, that those courses that we were just talking about. So, So here it will tell you like which course. So this, you know, the very first one is the composition one. And then it needs to say, hold on. What can because I'm using the same thing. Hold on. But right here, oh yeah, right here. See where it says the UCE? We will need the English 101, which is, you know, the first one, and then an additional one that also has the designation of UCE. And those are the two that will meet that requirement. And same thing in math. It will need to be one of those courses that has the UCM designation. That's the one that will meet the requirements for that minimum transferable math. All right. Let me go back to that. Great questions, by the way. Okay. I think we're almost done with this part. So I mean, this, you know, we definitely okay. So again, this is the math requirement. Let me talk about this. All right, so the next thing now, for some schools, and depending on the major you're applying to, the information not just cover the units, the GPA, the English Con critical thinking, and the transferable math. If you have met those requirements for what this schools designate as non-selected majors, that means you have the guarantee, right? So if you did not, in the next page, we're gonna see which majors are selected, okay? So if you are, but if you're not, if you're applying to a major that is not selected, as long as you met everything else, that means you're getting the guarantee, okay? Now, if you're applying to a major that is selective, then there's more that we need to look into to make sure that you have met all the requirements that are specific for that major under that campus, okay? So I put an example here, right? So this is UC Irvine's econ requirements, right? So here in the in UC Irvine, has designated this major as a selected major, meaning that they get more applications than they have spaces for. Okay. So what this means that this major is asking is that the student, if you're doing a tag, that you need to have a 3.4 GPA to get a guarantee. You also need to complete the micro and macroeconomics courses with a grade of B or better. Now, here it's not telling you a 3.0 GPA, is asking you a B or better in both of those courses. So you may have a 3.0, you may get an A in one course and a C in another course that averages to a B, but because you got a C in that course, you wouldn't qualify for the tag in this instance, okay? So you do have to, you know, again, pay attention to these details that, you know, if it's saying grade point average, then, you know, that's what you'll need to do. If it's saying a specific grade in a course, that's what you will need to do, okay? Yeah, so, and I guess this is a good place also to tell you about the fact that the major that you put in your, that you tag with needs to be the same major that you apply with in your UC application. And I'm using this example, Irvine, because they have a business school, right? But the business school does not participate in tag. They also have the econ majors, and the econ majors do participate in tag. Now, let's say that you submit your tag, and when you submit your tag, because of course business is not going to be an option, you're putting econ as your option, right? And that's fine. You're good at that point. Now let's say that, you know, once the application is due in November, you decide, no, I'm just gonna apply for business econ in my application that I turned in November, then that automatically disqualifies you from getting the tag because you're applying to a different major now, right? So the tag is only specifically for that major that is listed, and that then you apply to with your tag. If you do anything else, that will disqualify you. Okay, so just make sure that the majors match. Let's see, and Davis came up with this statement about the courses when the pandemic first hit. I know particularly for a lot of community college students, you may have taken the courses that were required for the major, which we often usually ask you to have a grade for. You may have asked to have a pass, no pass. And even though Davis is the only one that is putting out this statement, I'm pretty certain the rest of the campuses are going to follow as well, because that has been kind of the commitment as well, that that those courses in spring or summer of 2020, if you had any courses where that we're going to be fine with those. Okay. Well, I think those are the things that I wanted to cover here. And then this next pages are telling you which majors are selective. Okay, so again, just keep in mind that even though you may not necessarily see your major spelled out right here, it doesn't mean that it may not be hidden within one of these majors or within a larger department. So, again, you'll want to double check on assist, and it will tell you, who's going to be able to make that definition for you. Okay. Yeah. So I'm not going to read all these majors. The one thing that I do want to call your attention to is for Merced. Merced is asked, besides the majors that they have listed in here, they also ask you not to have more than 2 W's in major prep for the majors, right? So it's very specific to the major, and no more than 1 major prep where you have had a lower grade than a C. Meaning that if, let's say, I'm doing, again, let's say business school, right? And they require those 2 math courses and also, the English course, right? If I took a course and I got a no pass or D or an F, and I retake it, then I'm fine. But if I do a second course, that's a prep course, and I also receive another no pass or no non-credit grade, then the tag will not work, right? So so besides of course the grades, they're going to be looking at this. Now it doesn't mean that, again, to the regular process you might not be able to get in, because at that point they'll review your essay. They'll put more context into the situation that may have caused whatever that may have caused, right? So and that goes for pretty much, if they say no, don't assume necessarily you're not going to get into the regular process. And like I said earlier, that's how most students get into all the uses anyways. Okay. All right, here we are, the last 3 schools again. This is telling you which of the majors are selective at these campuses. And another guy. Let's see. Yeah, anything else I want to tell you here? Oh yeah, so here's that that rule about Riverside, that they're looking for the minimum math, not only in terms of the 1 transferable math, but also the minimum that the major requires as well. Okay, I think that's pretty much all I have to say in this page. And then there may be some other little criteria that you just want to pay attention to. The maximum only if you have attended if somewhere else besides the community college. I already talked about Merced and Riverside having additional terms. Let's see what else. Yeah, so the School of Business Administration at Riverside encourages students to submit a form for the affairs. Sorry, let's see. Okay, let's see. I think that's all that for here. I think that's everything. Oh yes, for non-English speakers for Santa Cruz, they will also ask that you submit either a 80 score on TOEFL, or that you have B's or better in both English composition and critical thinking courses. Yeah, okay. Trying to see if there's anything else in here. Everything else I covered. Okay. And this is just kind of like the cycle of the tab. Of course, you can create a tab at any point. The UC application is available in August. You can start filling that out in September. You will submit the tag for fall term. And again, as I mentioned, Riverside and Merced also taking the middle of the year. So in May, in October is when we have a deadline of October 15 to submit the tags specifically for those two campuses, Davis and Merced. And November, of course, you do still have to, even if you get tag approved, and there's two campuses that will let you know prior to the deadline of the application. Even if they say we review your tag and you're in, you still need to submit the application and the PIQs. And then in January, we're gonna ask you to update those grades that you were not able to submit in the for the fall. And then March through May is when the UCs release their decisions for everyone. It's kind of like a checklist, kind of a little bit of what also included in the checklist that I share with you. I think this. Let's see. Yeah, the one thing I want to just mention, and just this is my response whenever someone asks me, should I include this in my application? Should I list this course in my application? The one thing I always say is just, if it appears in your transcript, it has to be listed in the application, okay? Anything else here? Yeah, I know, there's always at least a group of students that think they have submitted the tag, but they haven't. And usually we're able to catch students, but there's gonna be like, the application is not as much of an application. To tell you the truth, it's just like a checklist of saying yes, I completed this, I completed this, I completed this, right? So, and then all the way at the end of that page, there's a submit button, and some students miss that. So just don't miss that submit button, okay? Yeah, and I told you about the early. All right, that's it. Thank you for staying through it. I know it's a lot of like very detailed, sometimes very geeky type of information. I mean, I love this stuff, so for me it's enjoyable, but I know for some of you, like, oh my God, that's just so much detail. But again, I want not that you need to retain all of this. If you heard something that you're not sure about, what my hope is not necessarily that I was able to like cover everything in a way that you're gonna just understand all of this. I mean, sometimes I don't even understand it as well, and I have to ask someone. But that's it. what my hope is that if there was something in here where you are not so sure about, that you are, reach out to the resources, whether that's through us or through your community college or through the UC system, so that that you get the best and right answer that you need. Okay. But besides that, that's all in terms of tag. Stop sharing. Are there any questions at this point? Oh man, I went over time. I didn't realize.
Yes, I have sorry.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
I had a question about the UC tag profile review for UC Davis. Do they review after or before we submit the tag?
Davis, hold on.
Because I asked my community college advisor, and they said they, like, that person do not review the profile until I submit it.
No, they do. So the only two schools that do pre-evaluation are Davis and Merced.
So pre-evaluation, that means before I submit?
No, it means that the pre-evaluation means that before you submit your UC application, you will get a response.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, that's what that means.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So usually around November 15 is when they release that information, and you will get it at the planner. You will get within the planner. You will get the notification.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So I'm planning to transfer fall of 2023, and I have a lot of AP credit. And by the end of fall of 2021, this semester, I'm gonna have 30 credits already. So
Okay.
would I be able to apply for tag, or do I have to wait until I'm like fully transferred?
Okay, so you don't have the 30 units at this point?
No, not right now.
Not right now. Okay, so yeah, so you wouldn't, because you don't have those 30 units, you wouldn't be able to apply for the fall term. Now you could potentially apply for the either spring for Merced or winter for a Riverside. Because that's doing May. And just double check when the units need to be done. Hold on. Yeah, so the 30 units, those requirements will need to be done by the spring term, which yeah, you should have at that point. So then that's when you will be eligible to prefer that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure, you're welcome. Any other questions before we leave? I know, thank you all for being here. I'm gonna stop the recording because I know this is